For seconds it took. To the deck slammed the armored Cressiar warrior, a terrifying 200-kilogram mass of combat, plating, and fury. Above him stood the human, a frail cargo handler in stained gray coveralls. Silas Wren didn't draw a weapon. He didn't gloat. He simply offered his bare hand, perfectly calm, waiting for the stunned, breathless guard to take it. I thought I was tracking a coward. I had no idea I was watching a weapon load itself. Stay close. That same sickening crunch of armor against decking. Junior Adjutant Vesper had heard it first 11 days earlier, when the human initially stepped onto the Nexus spire. He had tripped over his own boots at the customs gate, sprawling pathetically before the elite guard. Mandibles clicking in disgust, the sentries had shoved him toward the derelict levels of Sector 9. To Vesper, monitoring the feed from the intelligence spire, Wren registered as absolute prey. A fragile, insignificant blip on the station's vast radar. Down in the rot of Sector 9, the human settled into a lightless maintenance closet. Behind the rusted bulkheads vibrated a constant, teeth-rattling drone. A D-flat frequency, bleeding from a failing ventilation grate. It was the auditory signature of station-wide neglect, smelling sharply of scorched coolant and old grease. Vesper watched him via hidden optics. Her ocular ridges flared in confusion. Why choose this squalor? Ambassador Elias Trent, the human diplomatic envoy, slept in the polished upper tiers. Wren, officially listed as Trent's luggage logistics coordinator, preferred the suffocating dark. Against his thigh, Wren's fingers tapped constantly. A nervous, erratic twitch. Vesper logged it as severe environmental anxiety. According to Cressiar archival data on invasive species, prey organisms exhibited uncontrollable motor functions when confined in predator-dense habitats. She documented his erratic movements as standard biological terror. It never occurred to her to run the rhythm through a cryptology filter. The tactical math of invisible architecture remained completely foreign to her cast. Wren was calculating the exact rotational sweep of the automated security grids, finding the dead zones where light and surveillance failed to reach. Then came the staged disaster in the Grand Hall. Through the public thoroughfare tore a team of rogue, iron-bound syndicate mercenaries. Screams fractured the pristine air. A clumsy, highly visible assassination attempt against High Proctor Rask unfolded in broad daylight. Station-wide lockdowns slammed into effect. Sirens wailed, bleeding neon red light into the maintenance shafts. Down in the dark, Wren didn't flinch. He simply keyed his comlink to Trent's diplomatic frequency. This midnight roast stim fluid is getting cold. The human murmured, staring blankly at his half-empty cup. Are they going to drop the shield soon? Or should I just drink it tepid? Vesper monitored the transmission, her mandibles clicking again, this time in sheer bewilderment. Up above, thousands panicked. Down below, this fragile creature complained about beverage temperatures during a lethal crisis. It made absolutely no sense. Through the chaos of the upper decks, High Proctor Rask's personal guard dismantled the amateur attackers. It looked like a swift, decisive victory for the Cressiar. But inside the closet, the human's tapping fingers finally went completely still. 11 seconds. Wren finally spoke. Not to the ambassador. To himself. Through the primary surveillance feed, Vesper watched the frail human stand. He dropped the comlink. Straight into the restricted atmospheric junctions he walked. Death awaited any unauthorized personnel down there. The heavy automated defense turrets tracked anything with a pulse, their servos whining with lethal intent. Yet, the Cressiar security grids simply missed him. Every camera sweep, every motion sensor. He stepped exactly where the red targeting lasers failed to reach. His previous erratic finger tapping hadn't been biological terror at all. It was a flawless metronome. He had perfectly mapped the blind spot rotational seconds of the entire security architecture, memorizing the station's invisible geometry. Wren, report. Ambassador Trent's voice crackled over the abandoned earpiece. We have a syndicate breach in the Grand Hall. I see it, Elias, Wren whispered back, sliding past a thermal scanner. It's theater. A distraction. Beneath the Grand Hall, the true threat armed itself. Deep in the maintenance corridors ticked a hidden atmospheric relay, packed tight with a species-specific neurotoxin. If it triggered, the treaty signing would become a mass grave. Trent would die. High Proctor Rask would suffocate. Up in the gallery, a young civilian pollen sweeper named Ravik, his left ocular ridge cracked from an old injury, dropped a tray of ceremonial chalices in pure, vibrating terror as the lockdown sirens shrieked, bathing the lower levels in bloody neon. Thousands of lives, poised on an invisible razor. In the suffocating, humid dark of the junction, Ren finally paused. The lethal mechanism hummed just inches from his unarmored chest. He raised his plastic cup of midnight roast to his lips, took one slow, deliberate sip of the tepid liquid, swallowed with a soft exhale. Then his hands flew across the relay's primary terminal. Came the secondary authorization override. From his modified datapad, a silent countervirus flooded the Cress-AR local system. Code rewrote code in a blur of green text. The toxin trigger died exactly 11 seconds before activation. Left behind was zero digital footprint, zero physical trace. Out of the junction he slipped. That was when the Cress-AR warrior rounded the corner. Vesper stared at the monitor, her mandibles clicking in a frantic, uncontrollable shudder as the pieces finally aligned. The frail human didn't just bypass the guard. He dismantled 200 kilograms of heavy combat, plating with clinical, silent precision in 4 seconds flat, then calmly offered the gasping alien a hand up. The Council of Last Resort didn't send diplomats. They sent ghosts. The matriarch herself bypassed all diplomatic protocols to summon the operative to her private chambers. He declined all formal honors, refused the medals, and turned down the commendations. He requested only a commercial traffic clearance for a local stim vendor before returning to his watch. Down in the derelict closet, Silas Wren sat on his rusted cot. Behind the iron bulkhead vibrated the broken ventilation grate. It held that constant D-flat drone, exactly the same acoustic frequency required to mask a localized data slice transmission, exactly loud enough to swallow the sound of a weapon waiting in the dark.